Walking down this lonely road, damn near almost lost my soul. But now that I'm in control, what they gon' do? Can no evil hold me down? Let no evil hold me down. When your will is on the ground, what you gon' do? I won't go for anything that isn't in direction of the moon. Don't never let anything come in between, 'cause surely you will lose. Inhale the atmosphere, brushing fear right off the shoulders. Looking around, couldn't find anyone. Feel like the world getting colder. And I'm motivated, we won't stop until we are over. Yeah, and I won't look back, no. Won't look back, no. 'Cause it's only a matter of time, now we in here, dog. Homie said you need to get involved. Ain't no looking back, ain't no other way around it, dog. You got everything you need on guard. Just honing your faith and your power. Trust we could win, this is ours. No, this is not just a dream. Keeping you up early every hour, but it just doesn't make sense. What good is this life if all we do is pretend? Trying to see the light, but darkness wants to creep in. Way up in my mind, wanna push me off the deep end. Wait, slow down, hone it now. If you believe, then you better breathe it. Walking down this lonely road, damn near almost lost my soul. But now that I'm in control, what they gon' do? Can no evil hold me down? Let no evil hold me down. When your will is on the ground, what you gon' do? I won't go for anything that isn't in direction of the moon. Don't never let anything come in between, 'cause surely you will lose. Introspect, take a sec, watch it step, where you step, when you step, falling free through the sky, feel the breeze, feel the eye, all your fears, let them die, energy never lies. Introspect, take a second, let your world unfold,
falling free through the sky,
I just wanna feel right, I'm so tired of being lost,
all your fears, let them die,
take flight.
energy never lies.
There's nothing we cannot handle. Light up the dark like a candle. Usually they misunderstand you, yeah. Give a damn if they can't relate. All we want is to motivate. Take it on, never hesitate. Acknowledge it, but then make it. We are the ones in control. We are the ones in control. Just honing your faith and your power. Trust we could win, this is ours. No, this is not just a dream. Take on the world and devour. Walking down this lonely road, damn near almost lost my soul. But now that I'm in control, what they gon' do? Can no evil hold me down? Let no evil hold me down. When your will is on the ground, what you gon' do? I won't go for anything that isn't in direction of the moon. Don't never let anything come in between, 'cause surely you will lose. Yeah, we only getting started, but you know I got to bang it. Yeah, we're shooting for the stars, you know you got to aim it. Yeah, this goes out to the ones who doubt it. How you gonna see with your eyes so clouded? Look to the sky, feed your mind rerouted. Damn, it's been a long day. I done came a long way. I've been feeling all kind of restless. Getting to it, what can I say? Soaking up game like a lesson. Spirit too strong, that's a blessing. Rather elevate into outer space. You could go insane, lose your way from the stressing. And I ain't really on that. Gotta take it higher, yeah, we're on that. We will never stop, we'll never fall back. This is that, I need more of that. Gotta take it higher like you're on that. Gonna take it higher, yeah, we're on that. Whoa. I hear you screaming on the inside. You gotta let it go, let your mind ride. Yeah, we only getting started, but you know I got to bang it. Yeah, we're shooting for the stars, you know you got to aim it. Yeah,
My mic was muted. My mic was muted. My mic was so muted. Okay, so let's start that over again. I did not see that. So salute to everybody that's here. This is E Black with E Black TV. Once again, this is season 4, the third video that we're doing on authentic, adoptive, and aberrant behavior. I want to promise you guys there's a method to my madness, the way that I'm doing this. We're going to have a great time. Once again, I want to reiterate there's a method, there's a reason why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. I'm I have a lot of guests that's going to be coming up. I have a lot of people who I've reached out to, but I had to lay out the core fundamentals of this. This is a very good topic, a very good season. Um, I've I've been wanting to cover kind of this behavioral trait for, I would say, since I've started, but I wasn't ready. I think I'm pretty much better suited now to kind of bring out certain topics. But salute to everybody that's in the chat. Salute to the Black Pride. Salute to the Black Pride.
Salute to the Black Pride on E Black TV. Easy work.
Salute to everybody who's participated, ever left comments. Yesterday was good. Yesterday was a good show. I did a show. Of course, you know, the strongly agree to disagree crew was there. That was great. That was a great show. That was fun. That was hilarious and fun. Trust me. If you haven't already, please check that out. I actually have another show that's going to be popping up on Saturday. Hopefully that show will be weekly also. But like I said, for the main flagship show, for where we're talking about aberrant and or authentic, adaptive, and adoptive behavior and aberrant behavior, there's a method to my madness. I'm going to bring on a lot of people who can really speak to this stuff. We're going to have a lot more panels, but I had to do it the way that I'm doing it. I had to do it the way. I had to do it this way. I had to educate you guys because I had already gotten in 2 episodes into the season without actually proving why we're talking about these things. I talked about love and duty. We talked about authentic behavior in that. I talked about fuck friends. You know, I think there's nothing more authentic and being true to yourself and not only adaptive in yourself. So I've talked about a lot of different things. There's a method to my madness. If you guys truly enjoy the content, I really want you guys to like, subscribe, do all the things. I really appreciate the people who come back and do recaps, not recaps, but replays. I think one of the strong suits of this channel is that I do have repayability. I have people who do come back and they say they've looked at it. I wish I was more vocal, but hey, we gonna make it work. But salute to everybody. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So today is adoptive behavior. What do we mean by adoptive behavior? What do we mean by adoptive behavior? Adoptive behavior. Adoptive behavior is on this chart as, if you really look at it, it is in the lower third quadrant. It's when you have low regard, disrespect, disease, and also the environment is not highly effective upon you. We'll talk about in regards to the, what does that mean? What are some of the behaviors that are going to come from that? How to avoid from doing that, because I think a lot of times we feel as we're adapting to a situation, or we're feeling as if we are being adopted authentically ourselves, but we're merely just adopting other cultures, other talking points, other issues into our space. That is the ultimate thing, is to make sure that we're identifying ourselves and where we're at. Once again, I really want to point out the fact that when you're in this particular space, that you have low regard, meaning that you're not truly thinking of yourself as important. You're not truly thinking your authenticity as important, your culture as important. You're basically not truly operating on all cylinders. If you were a V8, you're only working on 4 cylinders. You're not really optimizing who you are as a human being in this world and connecting directly with the creator. So, once again, adoptive behavior. We're gonna start talking about that. Let me get my notes together. So, when I was kind of doing this, I wanted the best way to do this with is basically talk in regards to cultural appropriation. Um, what's up, Jay? We got some money in the chat. I really salute that. I really appreciate all of that. He's a long time follower, like I said.
Donations. 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 Gifts. 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 More gifts. More gifts.
So salute to you. Salute to JT. He's been here. He's been here since the start. I really appreciate him pulling up and supporting the channel. Also, of course, become a Black Pride member. I've actually been thinking about consolidating my channel, kind of getting rid of some of the channel stuff that I have and putting it behind membership. I don't know yet. I think there's a lot of videos that I have that I want to show growth in. Um, I don't know. It's one of those things, but I've seen people. I think, from my understanding, that if you consolidate it, it works better for outreach into the public. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm getting close to 400 videos. That includes clips and shorts and live. So I think it's about time to probably evaluate how I operate in that manner. We're growing. We're learning. You know, if you guys look at my first videos, man, I was sitting in my room, didn't know what I had. Then we kept on building. So we're gonna keep on building. I'm gonna keep on making this channel better, and hopefully for your viewing pleasure. I always appreciate all that people that come through. You know, like I said, man, y'all could be anywhere right now. Y'all can be on some dusty channels. Y'all can be arguing, but y'all here with me talking some shit. So I appreciate everybody that does pull up. So, all right, let's see. When we talk about adoptive culture or adoptive behavior, usually in the mindset of, or in the grand scope of what we're talking about adoptive culture. Um, we usually, once again, when we talk about behaviors, once again, like I've said before, is based on the culture that you're in. Your checks and balances, the stuff that you value, your humanness, your connectedness, your centeredness is usually based on the culture that you're in. Whatever culture that you're in, I want you to understand. Think about, if I'm in a dance culture, how am I valued there? What are some of the things that I've either adopted or adapted to or became authentic to? You know, these are ideas that in which, you know, like if you ever watch dancers, what do dancers wear? They usually wear Nike Air Maxes. Could you close this door, please? Uh, so dancers, when they wear certain clothes, they have certain behaviors, they have certain rituals, they have certain beliefs, they have certain history. Gun culture, the same thing: beliefs, history, standards, consequences. So when we talk about adoptive culture, we're usually talking about how we're adopting one culture. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's talk about it. So I'm gonna play off a lead video to kind of present how we're doing adoptive culture. And we're gonna kind of discuss how that really affects us. So, and the negative stereotypes that come along with that. So let's get the video playing and let's go.
even though I want to disagree with you, I get where you're coming from. When I see black people talking about racism, all that stuff, I'm like, what is wrong with these people? You guys have food, you have EBT, all this thing, and you're here shouting about somebody is racist too. Just leave that person and move on. I feel that way. Like, why are they always like complaining? But when Black Lives Matters started happening, like, I sat down, I said, I need to actually know why these people are pained. And if we look at the history, what they've done to them, like if you actually sit down, watch some documentaries, how they were maltreated, I don't think if I'm actually born, I will forgive those people. I don't care. It's easier for us Africans that were raised in Africa to feel like they're complaining because we were raised through struggle. Like I barely even have water, and you have water, you're complaining. But then it's not about the basic necessity or about how we are raised. We are raised like, I don't want to say way better. We might not have resources, but there are some way, like our own people will not look down on us or put us behind. So it's in their nurture that way. Like they just can't overlook it. And if you sit down and watch everything that the forefathers have been through for you, I changed my mind. No, they need to be angry. However, they should still move forward.
I mean, we have police brutality back home too.
True.
We have like if you go to Cameroon and then you see how the police officer treat us and they're black just like us, you're not even gonna believe it. You know, and in Cameroon we have this. Have you guys heard of the word like tribalism? So
Yeah, it happens
so,
in Nigeria.
yeah, so we do get oppressed too. And
I agree.
so when I'm saying like we need to like look past that, I'm not saying forget what happened to you guys or me. At the end of the day, we cannot just sit and just grieve on the past. We have to be able to move on, but not forget. If I could choose a place to live, it would obviously be my country. I love my country, but right now, my country is not the best choice for me. There's a little genocide going on in Cameroon right now. So many innocent lives are being taken. If I was still in my country, the opportunity that I have here, I would not have those opportunity there.
Hip hop reinforces stereotypes about the Black community.
In South Africa, we have our own version of hip hop. So we call it Kwaito. So they would rap in our own language in different, we call it Venek. So back home, it kind of did reinforce some stereotypes because now when you go out in the world, people will just classify you under one group. And growing up, also looking at American entertainment, looking at the hip hop that's done here, I'm like, oh, well, you're rapping about drugs, you're rapping about this. Of course it's going to happen. Of course you're going to go to jail. But getting older, you see the culture as well of hip hop. I had to understand that there's a culture within that.
So once again, as you kind of see and pointed out, where these, and I'm sorry if I didn't really illuminate the fact that these were Africans talking with African Americans discussing differences. They talked about their similarities in which they deal with struggle, poverty, and overcoming hope and racism. And then they reached into the fact that hip hop culture or hip hop reinforces stereotypes, and they talked about their stereotypes that they have within their culture and how they viewed our culture. Our culture. They even stated that, you know, at looking from the outside in, hip hop is about selling drugs, about misogyny, it's about crime, and it's about a whole bunch of other things. So, how do we within the culture adopt these behaviors? What are the effects of that? Because if somebody was coming from their culture coming to our culture or coming to American culture, how would they view hip hop, and how would they, if they enjoyed the music, how would they participate in it? Usually from what you hear is they would participate in the drugs and the lifestyle, but as the lady was stating, is she would then as an adult see that it's a part of a larger culture. Stereotypes come from everywhere. I think it even works the opposite way. I think from the American point of view, we view Africa differently, and we view we have stereotypes upon them, which would, I guess, in return, we would adopt those same stereotypes and internalize self-hatred. This is what it's all about. It's about internalized self-hate, because when you look at the lower quadrant, you don't have a low regard. As she said, she did not see Americans as favorable. Not all Americans as favorable, but the culture of hip hop as favorable because it had a low regard and disrespect. This is the whole point of what I'm talking about. So, how do we get to that point? How do we get to that point? There's a point that we got into where once I've always said to people, Black culture is different from American culture. There's an Americanization of, say, human beings once they've entered here. I'm going to actually bring up another video where we kind of talk about what this Americanization or assimilation means to the traditional white America. So let's kind of talk about that.
We're all talking about it as the border wall. We're all talking about it just as a matter of illegal immigration. It's actually about more than that. And of all people, the left-wing former anchor of NBC News, Tom Brokaw, is making this clear. He fits in a true statement in between a bunch of kind of leftist claptrap about how Republicans are racist. But he actually gets a true statement in there as well about assimilation.
And a lot of this we don't want to talk about, but the fact is, on the Republican side, a lot of people see the rise of an extraordinary, important new constituency in American politics, Hispanics, who will come here and all be Democrats. Also, I hear when I push people a little harder, I don't know whether I want brown grandbabies. I mean, that's also a part of it. It's the intermarriage that is going on and the cultures that are conflicting with each other. I also happen to believe that the Hispanics should work harder at assimilation. That's one of the things I've been saying for a long time. That they ought not to be just codified in their communities, but make sure that all of their kids are learning to speak English and that they feel comfortable in the communities. And that's going to take outreach on both sides, frankly.
Now, of course, this last point that he makes is true. Hispanics need to assimilate into American culture. It's not just their fault that they're not assimilating at the same speed at which other immigrant groups have done it. A lot of it is thanks to the culture, which discourages them from assimilating, which tells them to keep speaking Spanish, which tells them that America is awful and the West is a terrible place. Why they would want to come here, I have no idea. Why we would take in over 1 million people a year, I can't imagine if we're such a terrible place.
So as you can see, he's saying, Hispanics should come here. They should assimilate. They should forget their heritage. They should forget their history. They should forget their self-worth. They should have low regard and disrespect of however they feel connected to their own particular gods and their own particular oneness and their centeredness. This is what basically the whole point of what he's talking about is that Hispanics should be coming to an American, forgetting that they're Hispanics, and assimilate into American culture. If you come here and you want to be treated as an Hispanic, honor you're Hispanic, you have to be American first. And in fact, we don't really want you to be even considering yourself Hispanic because we do not want your culture here. So once again, we're talking about adoptive behavior. What is it that when Hispanics come here, what is it that when Americans or Africans come here to America, how are they becoming adoptive in low regard and disrespect to the history of their oneness? What creates this oneness or this environment? Because once again, they are probably coming from harsh environments. They're probably looking for a better situation. So from where they come from, they don't feel the same environmental effects. Once again, review the chart. They do not come from they are coming from a harsh environment to a better environment. So in their own mindset, they are coming from a very low environmental effect. Then if you then topple with that with some low regard and disrespect, you become adoptive and you become Americanized, or you, like this guy's trying to say, assimilate to the culture. They don't want the same ideologies. They don't want the melting pot. They don't want the things that make America great. They really just want you to follow what they've created and what benefits them, which is the white America.
But that point is right. The point about Republicans don't want brown grandbabies, that's just typical leftist NBC nonsense. But the point he's making about assimilation is fair, I think. And that's not just illegal immigration that has to do with, that's legal immigration. There was a big poll that came out, I think from Harvard Harris, which showed that the majority of Americans don't just want less illegal immigration, they want less legal immigration. And they don't just want less legal immigration, they want radically less legal immigration. Right now we're at about 1.2 million a year. They want that down to about 500,000. And why is that? Well, one, that's 1 million people a year is a lot of people to absorb into a country, constantly coming in. But I think we could absorb it if we encouraged assimilation. But I think a lot of people really hate pressing one for English, and I think they're totally justified in doing that. And it's wrong for the immigrants. It's wrong to encourage them not to learn English so that they're a permanent second class, so that certain jobs just are cut off from them, that certain
Trust me, this has nothing to do with them learning as English. This has nothing to do with them learning English. He's going to state why.
certain educational opportunities just are cut off from them. You have to assimilate. When my great-grandfather came to America from Italy, he was basically ashamed of being Italian. And he was rightly ashamed of being Italian because he's in America and he has to learn English. So he would read the newspaper in English all the time. He wouldn't speak Italian really in the home. He felt that he had left a culture for good reason, and he was coming to a new culture, and he was going to succeed at that new culture. That is a radically different attitude than what the left tells us to do today, which is that we should assimilate to immigrants. We certainly should not do that. That's crazy. And it creates a bad situation, not just for the country, but for the immigrants as well. A really interesting point at the end there by Tom Brokaw. Of course, he's had to walk it back now because the left.
Once again, he's proving why he proved why he wants to assimilate. He said that he had a Italian grandfather who came to this country and he left a culture and then he joined an American culture. Why would you want to join an American culture? What benefits do you have as leaving behind your Italian roots, your heritage, your language, your culture, your food, your cuisines, all the things that you enjoy, spreading on, and then not only having your authentic self spread on to your next generation, teaching your next generation different languages, teaching your next generation different cultures. What benefits that? The whiteness of America benefits that. If you're a different culture from white America, you do not have the same opportunities. You're outcasted. You're considered. The harshness of the racist American system then becomes on top of you. That's why he doesn't. That's why he says for good reason. Of course, if you're a pale-skinned white man, anything other than whiteness would be ridiculous not to take advantage of. Anything. Right. What if you were to come to America and be able to assimilate into white culture? How dumb would you be not to take advantage of that? Why would you teach your family Italian? Why would you teach your family French? Why would you put them at a disadvantage by having them enjoy cultures that are outside of the social norms when you can benefit in the American society? Africans and African Americans do not have that luxury. What we have to do is assimilate into American culture, which then puts us at already a disadvantage. So once again, adoptive behavior is truly about the American culture assimilating individuals from being their true authentic selves. Italians have what do they consider Italians? The most romantic men in the world, why wouldn't you, as a human being, want to be authentic to that? These type of talking points are just mind-boggling to me. And once again, I want people to understand we are talking about assimilating into an American culture that is highly effective on our behavior. What ends up happening is with such low regard and such low respect for oneself, you are susceptible to then go into aberrant behavior. You can argue that this guy was being aberrant. His family was being aberrant. He essentially said, you know what? Forget the stuff that came in the past. I'm going to erase all that and we're just going to move forward. And he had the luxury of being a pale-skinned white man to say, you're going to benefit from that. But imagine that to black people. How does that help your community? That becomes an aberrant behavior. You no longer see value in your community. You no longer want to invest in your community. You no longer want to see the righteousness and the order. You don't go into your community and try to make corrections within that community. This is all aberrant behavior. But right now, once again, we're just talking about adoptive. Right now, it's cool. Everything's good. The environment feels great to me. I'm enjoying myself. I just will take on whatever is necessary for me to just survive. So we're just talking, once again, we're just talking about adoptive culture. So salute to everybody. I'm going to play another video. And this is going to be kind of the main crux of what I'm talking about. This is another video from Jubilee where these people who have been adopted into people's families from a different race. And you're going to kind of see how these people have then became adoptive. These people became adoptive in their behavior when it came to their own authentic selves. They were taken care of. They had benefits of a good life, but at the same time, they had a low regard and disrespect of oneself that some of them figured out, hey, I'm not taking this so much no more. I'm authentically who I am and I want to be respected for who I am. And you will see how they will then navigate from an adoptive behavior to an adaptive behavior, and then sometimes an adoptive, authentic behavior.
With them. But like I said, I'm a proud Hispanic.
I have used microaggressions against my own race. Oof. 3, 2, 1, go.
I think when I was younger, there's definitely some jokes that I made, which I deeply regret, but trust me, I'm picking up the slack now. But I think it's also the fact that I was growing up countryside in like a predominantly white place made it so that like I accepted a lot of things, little comments or little jokes that I would just let slide, or people using the N-word. And I think when I started learning more about Black culture, that's when I was like, okay, that's really not okay, and this is why. But I think that.
So once again, you're seeing that this person, she grew up in a white environment. The white environment would then explain to them that you need to have low respect, you need to have low regard for yourself. We're taking care of you. We're being friends with you. We're going to put you in this we're going to put you in the lower third quadrant. And I want you to understand that this person said, you know what? Once I start learning my true authentic self, I became adaptive. I no longer wanted the disrespect. I became adaptive, and I'm trying to move towards authentic behavior, authentic culture. I'm no longer going to accept this white supremacy culture that tells me that I'm less than, that I'm dumber than, that I'm uglier than, that I need to talk a certain way, I need to be a certain way, I need to accept disrespect, I need to allow the people around me to be disrespectful of the people who look like me because I'm just around you. So this is why, like I said, this is adoptive culture or adoptive behavior.
Also comes with maturity and age.
So I'm on strongly agree because I hated being Asian growing up. I despised it, man. My dad would give me a buzz cut. I had glasses. And so every time I went out, we just kind of would get looks because there's 5 adopted kids. And man, I just remember making the crudest, most horrible jokes because it, in a weird way, validated me as like an Asian almost, because in some way I felt like this is what was expected of me, to make these jokes, to make these comments, to make everyone laugh and feel comfortable about my adoption. And what I realized is, dang, like first off, I'm starting to believe this stuff. Second off, I'm doing it in service of others. Like I'm making these jokes to make other people feel comfortable.
I do identify.
Once again, we get to another point, another individual, another guy. I'm an Asian guy. I know I'm Asian. I know I'm connected to a real culture. I know I'm connected to a real group of people. I then started to accept low regard and disrespect for oneself to be accepted, to lower. I want you to understand, to lower my environmental effects. I accepted the fact that I was less than. I started adopting culture. I started adopting the disrespect of Asian people. This is not just about talk. Of course, as a black man, I'm going to speak through a black lens, but I want people to understand that this is about American culture that deifies any race that's outside of the American spirit. And what are the effects? What ends up happening? And you're seeing that what ends up happening is the people who are not blue-eyed, blonde hair, white folks, they want you to accept disrespect. They want you to accept less than. They want you to be in this lower quadrant. They want you to be in this lower quadrant where you're just adopting their behaviors, disrespect. So we're going to continue. We're going to hear it over and over. Adoptive behavior.
With your story as well. I grew up also like hating that I was Asian, but like specifically Chinese. I would hear like kind of a negative connotation about Chinese, that like they're liars and they're ugly, and also being around predominantly white community and like in high school, like hanging out with a lot of group of girls that were often white and I was the token Asian, like just made me more and more hate my appearance and not think that I was attractive. I guess with being insecure with that, it's almost like, yeah, that internalized racism and like self-hatred that happens. So that's why I am on this side as well.
Oh, can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
Like totally resonant with what both of you guys were saying. I was always proud to be Asian. I was proud of my differences, but I think it was always interesting reckoning with this idea of being proximal to whiteness. And what I mean by that is when white people growing up said, oh, like you're basically white, they were saying that to validate me as being like a first-class citizen because I'm like almost white because I was raised in a white family. And then when Asians would call me a banana, or when Asians would say, oh, well, you're not really Asian, that would hurt.
So like the guy said, being Asian was a proximity towards being white. As long as you have these two proximities, and this is an American culture thing. I want you to understand this is an American culture thing. This is what American culture does. This is what assimilation does. This is what cultural appropriation, cultural adoption does, is when you try to weed out everything of authentic self. You're trying to weed out every authentic behavior that you have, authentic spirit that you have, authentic connectedness, centeredness, spirituality, everything that you are as a human being, and the places that you come from and the things that you know that you should be identifying with. They want to weed these things out. And when it does, and when you don't do that, it hurts, because then you do not have an authentic self. You start to have low regard and disrespect. You start to feel as if you're not in a place. And so, you know what? You start to make jokes. Yeah, I'm Asian. Look, I know some Asian people, and I salute to my Asian folks, but I know some Asian people, they love to proclaim the ghetto. They love to proclaim everything about being hood and everything else. And it's all good until they have to actually be confronted, and then they go into their whiteness.
Nigga, please.
We've seen these people all around YouTube. Anytime they get into an argument or any type of discussion and how they interact, they then want to pull out their hood pass. They then want to make the environment about the hood pass. They then want to adopt hoodness in a debate. It's the most hilarious connotation, in which I find ridiculous, because we all know what it is. You can be an Asian person and still have great talking points. You can be a white person and have great talking points. You can be a Hispanic and have great talking points. But for you to have great talking points, all of a sudden you got to be hood. You have to be accepted. You have just stop. It doesn't make you authentic. You're just merely adopting behaviors and traits. And trust me, we read that stuff out.
Nigga, please.
So let's keep going with this video.
On a different level.
Yeah, I would get that too.
Because of course we are Asian. And yeah, it just feels incredibly invalidating.
I mean, for me, like, I'm on strongly disagree, because I'm a proud Hispanic. Like, I'm Nicaraguense and I'm Honduran, and I'm always gonna be proud of that no matter what. And I get how some people can be like, oh, my race, like, it falls in my bloodline that, like, there's alcoholism, drug addicts, but I'm never gonna let that define my anger or my percentage of how I am or how I represent myself, ever.
Authentic behavior. He's going to be a proud Hispanic. He's going to be a proud Latino. He's going to accept what he is, and he's going to move forward no matter what environment. And he says it proudly, and he has a high regard and respect for himself. He's now then an authentic individual of authentic behavior. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about.
Yes. So I would say with my family, like cousins, grandparents, all of that, the conversation of my adoption didn't really start happening until like when Mike Brown was shot. That was kind of the first time that I really felt invalidated by my own family, because I think I was trying to get them to recognize, like, I'm a Black woman, and there are people right now who look like me that are going through very traumatic things. But my family didn't view it that way. I felt very invisible. Yeah, I didn't have anyone to relate to. All my family comes from a really small town in the Midwest, like 95% white, and to the point where like the KKK, it used to be a sundown town, like that kind of thing. And so, yeah, growing up, it just went from, I was just kind of there as Michaela, but not a Black person. It was more of just like, they would always say to me is like, I don't see you as Black. I just,
100%.
Yeah, you know,
All
and
the other time. And I was happy. I was glad. I was like, yes, I'm not gonna like be a victim of racism. Like,
yeah,
yes,
at the time,
one of them.
Exactly, yeah. It never bothered me at the time, but I think the more I processed it, the older I got, I realized how damaging that term is, because I mean, I think we've all experienced this of like, who am I? And so then I was like, okay, if my family doesn't see me as Black, what am I? You know, that was
So once again, we have another situation to where, you know, people will say, oh, you know, race isn't an issue, but let's be honest, these people are all coming from families that view them as their family, treated them as their family, predominantly white families, but then something in their core, something in their spirit told them that I'm not one of you guys. I'm not the same in race. We are a family. I love you guys. We have the same spirit. We have the same love. We have everything that brings us and binds us together. But I recognize my true, authentic self. I deserve to be treated in my true, authentic self. I demand the right to be treated as a Black woman. I demand the reason to be treated as an Asian man. I demand a reason to be treated as a Latino. These are all things that, once again, we can act like American culture is just American culture. But whether we like to believe it or not, we are all connected through cultures of our race. And we like to see a reflection of ourselves, and we like to feel a part of said culture, or at least recognized by said culture. So once again, we get to this point to where we're adopting American culture that says, you know what, you're an American, you're not Latino, you're an American, you're not Black, you're American, you're not Italian. So salute to everybody in the chat. I'm sorry, I've been rambling on. So salute to Music Man 82, Victor Hart, salute to you, and Far, Kareem. Did they clip the stream? I don't know. What do you mean by did they clip the stream? Oh. Oh, okay. It looks like we got hit. All right, so I apologize, everybody. I didn't realize doing Jubilee was gonna get me clipped, so that's a new thing. So anyway, I'm not sure how far. Let me see, how far did we get? Okay, so we're only 2 minutes behind. Yep. I didn't realize that my stream got hit. So yeah. So yeah, sorry. But essentially, effectively, yes. These people deserve to have their own rights. They deserve to be treated equally. They deserve to be having a oneness and a connectedness. They deserve to have Asian people to be treated like Asian men and Asian women, Latinos to be treated like Asian Latino people. People want to be treated equally. And they have the right. This is what it's all about. It's about the right to be connected. It's about the right to have a connection to the oneness and to the creator. So this is what adoptive behavior is. It's when you then start to feel like the young lady talked about how, you know what, I'm raised in these white people and they don't see me as white, but the world sees me as Black. And I'm adopting these behaviors, but it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't make me feel whole. It doesn't give me, there's things going on in the world right now that are affecting and making me feel a certain way. And when I bring it home and I talk to the people that are supposed to be my family, we're not agreeing because we have different cultures. We have the people who come from my culture and the ideals and the authentic self that I have in my heart and my gut is making me feel a certain way. And the people who are supposed to be family and supposed to supposedly not see me the same way, they're not in agreement because they come from a different culture. They don't understand the racism I go through. They don't understand the stuff that I'm going through. They don't feel the same way I'm going through. This is what adoptive culture does. So I'm sorry if I repeated something that already earlier, but I see we went 2 minutes back into another clip, 2 minutes into being clipped up. So I'm just repeating it just for the sake of repeating it. So let's get off of that video because that video is no longer going to be able to be used. All right. So hey, what's going on, guys? So once again, when we're talking about culture, behavior, we got to talk about our culture of fashion. We got to talk about the language. What language are we actually producing? What kind of talking points are we producing? What kind of things that we're talking about that benefit the community? Our religious practices. How are we connecting better to God? How do we best connected to God? Not only that, our workplace culture. I've been in places to where trust me, there's always that one black guy. There's always that one black guy that wants to be the only black guy in the room. I've been in places like that, and you can always spot it out. And that's because that becomes from an adoptive behavior, technology, innovation. How do we connect? We call this Black YouTube for a reason, because black people want to see black people talk and have a continuous conversation. Educational practices. How are we teaching? How can we break the cycles of poor education? How can we better educate our children in regards to our present, our future, our past? You know, we need to be able to relate to each other and respecting our own culture, demanding that our own culture have some sense of respect for some type of significance. You know, a lot of times we put down each other in regards to black things. Like when I moved down south, there was always the black Walmart and the white Walmart. And the black Walmart would, no matter how you say it, was always the trashy Walmart. Everything black down south is considered low, and everything white is considered good. And it doesn't make sense, because even black people work in the white. It doesn't make sense, you know. It also, what ends up happening is we create a lack of understanding in an adoptive behavior. You have a lack of understanding of your own self. You don't know who you are. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to relate to other people, because you've adopted so much of other cultures that you no longer are able to communicate with those who look like you or within the same culture. Commodification. Basically, we buy things, how we buy, how we dress, how everything that is our spending power. If we do not like ourselves, if we are in a low regard, disrespectful self, we will not buy black. When you're in an adoptive culture, you will not buy the things that are unique to your culture. You will not buy the authentic self. You will not be authentic. You will always be adoptive. You know, stereotyping. We always will create stereotypes in regards to how black people act or how certain people act, and those things are detrimental. You know, like everybody was talking about what's that guy that does the food crazes in Atlanta, and they was talking about how he was going to black businesses, and it's tough for black businesses. Yeah, hell yeah, it's tough, because essentially I've gone to restaurants my whole entire life. I've received bad service at Asian restaurants. I've received bad service at Mexican restaurants. I've received bad service at Cracker Barrel or Crocker Barrel. I've received bad service at every place that I've gone to. But the only places that we really talk about is black restaurants. It is the most hyper stereotypical thing that we can do. Assumptions. We make assumptions about things, and those things are truly, it's detrimental, and it doesn't hold us in high regard and respect. I want to be held in high regard and respect. So it creates a cultural insensitivity that allows other people, especially, and I'm talking from a black perspective, it makes it easier for other people of different races to talk bad about us. When I have a high regard and respect for myself, I will put my black card on anything and anywhere. You cannot tell me that, and everybody knows it. But because it's so easy to attack black, Other cultures just make it easier. And that's why I say we as Black people have to demand more high regard and respect for ourselves. We also have to demand our rituals be taken into account. Jumping the broom, Cajun food, all this stuff that created our Black experience needs to be recognized as valid experience. It's funny how oxtails are now fucking $40 a pack when they weren't before. You know, it's like it's the lack of respect for the consumer, and it causes harm to the culture that is being adopted. Nobody likes, I'm sorry, even Asian people would not like if I came out and I was making all types of Bruce Lee sounds. It makes no sense. It's very disrespectful, because I think even Asian people would consider themselves more than just freaking Bruce Lee. And also power dynamics. If you have a high regard and respect for oneself, your power dynamics then changes. You start to become gatekeepers of your culture. You start to establish things that are rooted in the order of your culture. You become more or less covered by your authentic self and the people around you, because when the people around you recognize authenticity, they will then support you. These are privileges and positions that we hold within our community. But once again, you have to have a high regard and deep respect for yourself. You have to be an authentic self. But when you're adopting culture, you don't have a respect for, say, the pillars of our community. You will openly say disrespectful stuff about Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Barack Obama. You will openly allow disrespect, and everything that we've ever created, everything will always be down. And you want to have, like I said, and I'm reading from my notes, sorry. The adoption of culture elements without genuine understanding or connection can lead to a loss of authenticity. When practices or traditions are taken out of cultural context, their true meaning and significance can be diluted or lost. We've all seen when, what's that guy? The Atlanta Braves. You got a stadium of 70,000 white people yelling, oh, they're wearing all types of stuff, looking like some assholes. You're not honoring these people. You're literally mocking these people. Not only that, you're mocking them, and then you put them in a corner of America, and you tell them that you're not going to allow them to collective bargain with the American system or honor the contracts. It's the most ridiculous idea of cultural appropriation and cultural disrespect, and adoption of behavior that it's okay to disrespect Indian people. And tokenism, it creates tokenism. In some cases, adoptive culture may be driven by tokenism, where superficial elements are adopted merely for appearance without a commitment to deeper cultural understanding or respect. Once again, we know a lot of people who love to be hood and love to talk about how Black they are and how they grew up in impoverished neighborhoods, and the first thing when it comes to Black people and Black issue, they start disrespect.
Nigga, please.
So, you know, we gonna ride on we go ride on that. We're gonna ride on that. If anybody wants to join and talk in regards to this topic, anybody allow somebody to come in. But this was adoption, adoptive behavior. We're gonna talk aberrant behavior tomorrow. I'm tired, y'all. I've been streaming for 5 straight days, going on 5 straight days. But we got some stuff that, like I said, are coming up, and this series is going to be the baseline of how we move forward throughout eBlack TV. The guests that we're going to bring on are going to be basically talking in regards to authentic behavior, adaptive behavior, adoptive behavior, and aberrant behavior. We're going to have more everything is going to be based on this. And I had to make sure that I sat down and I gave it to you guys. I couldn't stretch it out, pause any longer. But I really appreciate everybody who's been here. I think when I talk about behaviors and when we talk about culture, these are one of the things that I truly value. Fair use, sharing your which is why I try not to. Hey, salute to JT Money Coin, JT Coin Rings. This is why I don't like using other people's videos, because you get into this weird quagmire stuff. But I really appreciate everybody for showing up. I actually do have. Let me see. I think I covered it. Yeah, I covered every video that I wanted to cover. And that is there's if anybody wants to actually look at another topic in regards to this, I'm putting in the chat a video or a article in regards to K-pop. Um, recently, what ended up happening in K-pop was, you know, the blackification of K-pop. The styling, the cultural appropriation, the Americanization of K-pop. There was actually a New York Times podcaster who came out and he started talking about how Korean pop is basically taking hip hop, putting Asian face on it, black elements, and just basically pushing it back to their audience without really giving honor to the people around them. Of course, we've been through this before. We've seen this before. It's actually a good read. There's actually a part to where it talks about Korean artists using the N-word. Yeah, there's actually a controversy where using the N-word and them calling themselves a special talent for speaking black English. So if you got an opportunity to read that, this is one of those things where, like I said, when we talk about adoptive behavior, what are the effects of adoptive behavior, and how bad are we treating each other? Are we treating each other as black people as best as we can? We need to better be true to our authentic selves. Black people, I want to remind you guys, we didn't invent treating each other bad. We didn't backbite each other. We grew as a community. We had different structures of government. Patriarchy was in the black community or in Africa, but the role of the woman actually had its role, had their role, and it was very important. Spirituality was very important. There's a lot of things that we as black people traditionally have upheld, and we've Americanized ourselves too much, so much to where we're just merely just white people in black faces. And I want us to really get back to the point of us communicating as true Africans in America, as true people in America. And that's my goal. That's who I am. I'm not like these other guys who talk about Africa bad. I believe in the very vast culture of Africa. But once again, I think we all need to recognize the culture that we're in and how dangerous it is for us and how much it really doesn't really benefit us. We need to go back to a centeredness and of true authentic behavior that really allows for our community to grow, helps other people, and does the thing, because that's what it's about. It's like, when you're authentic, you're able to move in a certain way that is beneficial for others. When you're adopting behaviors, trying to get it rich, trying to just make by, you're only benefiting yourself. And in fact, you're almost at tomorrow. We're going to talk about when it comes down to it, you become aberrant. because you're essentially having so low regard for yourself and the community that you're willing to destroy you, yourself, your community, and your behavior. So anyhow, nobody popped up. Good. I'm ready to go to bed. Salute to everybody who's here. This was a great topic. Be on the lookout. Don't be like these other people and be like, oh, you black, I didn't know you was gonna do that. You did a whole stream with like 7 people up in that motherfucker. And stuff. I'm warning you guys now. There's a method to my madness. There's a reason why I'm doing this, and there's a reason why I'm laying it out the way I am. You guys should know by now. If I'm doing something, there's a reason why I'm doing it. And I always want you to support from the people who are genuine. If you don't come back here, don't come back here. I'm telling you now, do not come back here when I start doing my shit. And I want you to understand, there's a reason why I'm doing this. Salute. Let's get out of here, y'all.
Walking down this lonely road, damn near almost lost my soul. But now that I'm in control, what they gonna do? Can no evil hold me down? Let no evil hold me down. When your will is on the ground, what you gonna do? I won't go for anything that isn't in direction of the boom. Don't never let anything come in between, 'cause surely you will go. Inhale the atmosphere, brushing fear right off the shoulders. Looking around, couldn't find anyone. Feel like the world getting colder. Be I'm motivated, we won't stop until we are over. Yeah, and I won't look back, no. Won't look back, no. 'Cause it's only a matter of time, now we in here, dog. Homie said you need to get involved, ain't no looking back. Ain't no other way around it, dog. You got everything you need on guard. Just honing your faith and your power. Trust we could witness as ours. Know this is